updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong.
Region with the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine. I am Candace Jackson, and well, viewers, we are taking a break from the carnival activities to get into some other good news and some good things that are happening, especially in the sphere of housing. So joining me on set this morning to talk about some things that are going to be revealed a little bit later on today is none other than the Secretary of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Ian Whitey Pallad. Good morning and welcome to you, sir.
Good morning, Candice. Good morning to my electoral district of Maidstone Moran and to the viewing public.
Great. So this morning you are getting ready for a check distribution ceremony.
Yes, I am. The division, since I've been in the division, Secretary George and I, we have given out almost $14 million in grants. And this morning we are about to give out, we have $1,970,000 worth in grants to give out to 209 recipients. The value of the checks from $7,500 to $17,500.
And these are for home repair?
Home repairs,
Right.
Toilet eradication program. So, I mean, they've been waiting long enough. They're well-deserved recipients. So we're just going to have a small distribution of about 30 members, and the division will call in all the members, all the other recipients next week, so they could come and collect their checks.
How many recipients will be receiving?
I'm 30 this morning.
30
we just
this
have
morning.
a small, yeah.
Yes.
Because we have a very small conference room, so we're just going to have 30 persons looking at social distancing and everything like that.
Certainly, but what's the total of persons that...
We have 209 persons with a value of $1,970,000
Wow.
that was approved, and we still have a number of files there to be approved by the administrator, so by next week or next 2 weeks, we'll be able to give out more checks.
And can people still apply?
Of course. We encourage persons to apply, especially in this dry season, because we have seen the damages caused from the last rainy season. So we're hoping that persons could come now and apply. And then surely once the approval from the administrator, the checks will be prepared in the shortest possible time. We try to make the checks available in 3 weeks after you apply.
Wow, that's some good. I mean, that's quite a big of change from the last few years.
Yes, it has been.
And tell me a little bit about, getting to that point where you can have the systems working so that people can get or find out whether or not they qualify and then get their checks within a short space of time.
Well, we're hoping that we can have everything online so persons could track their applications so that at least you could know where your application, because I have persons leaving their home wherever they live to come to the secretary to ask me they need an update on their form, the form that they have applied the application. And I usually direct them to downstairs because they are the staff that could actually guide them of where the file is. But once it's online, and they could track the file as to where it is, and so they could at least have an idea.
All right, and then we have some upcoming developments. In the near future, one of them is in Sherburne Estate. I mean, things are going full speed ahead with us concerned.
Yes, it is. Today we are sending out our request for proposal, and we are hoping that sometime in April we could award a contract so we could start grubbing or clearing of the land, the contractor, whoever is selected in the dry season, so we could start that. We're hoping that we could complete these homes in the next 32 months. And we are talking about 400 plus units.
Quite ambitious.
Yes, it is.
And I mean, how is it going in terms of getting the PPP, the private sector involved to work with the THA so that we can produce these houses?
Well, it's going well. I had a consultation on Tuesday morning with all the hardware owners and even the electrical store owners, West Side, Downtown Electrical, everyone. And they have high praise of the division and the initiative because they say they have never been invited around the table to have that discussion, because my leadership style is that persons must be informed.
Yes.
And once they know what is coming, it's not going to come in the next 2 weeks, but construction will start probably in the next 6-7 months. So we had got discussion with them so that they could get themselves prepared, either bulk buy as an association, so that whoever the contractor is could now find favor with their prices and have them supply them the necessary materials that they need. So it's about getting everyone prepared of what is coming, because Chauvin is the major project on the island, but then we have Adventure in Plymouth, and we have Adelphi in Mason Hall. So it's about getting them ready so that they could at least be able to compete, because whoever the contractor is will come with their own financing. Because we're talking about Chauvin, we estimate it to be about over $300 million.
Wow.
So I want the hardware owners and the suppliers of services here to be ready. So when the contract is awarded, you now could be ready. You could put your house in order, that you could now get part of this pie.
And the contractors, are they from Tobago?
We have Tobago and Trinidad contractors, and I've heard this being branded about contractors where they're from. Like I said on many programs, I don't care where you come from. My concern is the mothers who are calling me daily, and even in the late hours of night, that they have been put out. They prefer to pay a mortgage instead of paying a rent. So once the end users are the ones who are getting the benefit of this, that's all I'm interested about, serving the people who are really in need.
And then what about what's happening at Adventure? We know we constantly hear some complaints from a lot of the residents. There are some things that are not yet settled for them.
Well, Adventure, since we met with the residents at Adventure in our first town hall meeting, I'm pleased to announce that majority of what they had as concerns, we have been addressing them, or we have budgeted to address them. So I know that whatever problems they have will be fixed in the shortest possible time, because we did have a follow-up meeting with TTMF, the administrator, myself, the legal officer, and we are putting everything in place. We have put out tenders will be going out shortly for the painting of the buildings that they had concerns about. So we are putting things in place. So as we have these town hall meetings, it's not just a talk shop.
Yes.
We're listening to what the persons are saying or the residents are saying and actually acting on them.
And certainly, I think the residents who were at that town hall meeting a few weeks ago, they are certainly probably happy to hear that there's progress being made on their complaints.
Well, we did have a follow-up meeting with them and inform them of where we are. We had a discussion with TTMF, so they were more relieved, and they were pleased that we came back at least 10 days later and informed them. And it's just a matter of action those changes now.
What are the next areas that are up for development here in Tobago where housing is concerned?
Well, the same Adventure. We are looking at probably 100 to 150 units in Adventure, and in Adelphi in Mason, all opposite the high school. You see, we're taking a different approach, and we have been in consultation with Town Country Division, where we are looking to go high-rise buildings. So we're going to be seeing some 4- and 6-story building. So persons will just have to adapt to that kind of living, because we cannot provide 5,000 square feet for everyone.
Yes.
Based on our database, but they're going to be nicely designed, I hope, and not I hope, I'm sure, because we're going to settle for nothing less. But persons just have to just be prepared. They have to make sure that they are qualified financially with their financial institution. So they have to go and get pre-qualified. Because these houses would range, I could say, estimating about 500,000 up to 900,000. So you just have to go and get yourself qualified by your financial institution, and then leave it all up to the system right after.
And is there any sort of assistance from your division in terms of, educating the people as to what they need to be able to qualify for these housing grants?
Yes, we do, and we do. We are rolling out a program where we educate the public that they have what they need to do. And anytime they call and ask me about us, I usually tell the wives or the husband, whoever calls, is that first thing you have to do is those payments you have with those like courts and try to eliminate them. Try to have as much disposable income. Just see what you're qualified for at this present time, and then just increase on your savings. Because we are not in a financial position as the former regime did, because those townhouses in Adventure were constructed at a cost of $1,250,000, but they were sold at $450,000. We don't have that ability to subsidize the cost of almost $700,000 to $750,000. So we are changing the system whereby we're going on our draws, our draws for these units will be for persons who are qualified. Because I've seen many persons whose names are called in draws, and they these draws, and they're glad to get a key or a parcel of land, but when they go to TTMF, they do not qualify, so they have to give back the key, or they have to be taken out of the system because they don't qualify. So we are urging persons to really get pre-qualified and increase your savings.
So what's the goal for the end of the year in terms of, how many houses should be ready for distribution? How many housing plots should be ready for distribution?
Well, what we know Chauvin is going to be a task because what they have to do first is the infrastructure, and that will take some time. So we are hoping that by March, April next year, we could have at least more than 100 units to give out because we are going to change the policy. Like I said before, we are not going to wait until election time to give these out. 100 units is completed, we just give them out. So a person could get a jump start. So once you qualify, you start paying on your mortgage. So we are about to change the policy as directed by our chief secretary so that it could make it easier and affordable for persons to access these homes.
And then in terms of service lots or lands, I know that was one of your initiatives to have plots to be distributed to people so that, they can work on building their homes to suit themselves.
Well, we are looking at Colon Estate. Colon Estate, we have a total of 30 acres of lands there. And I was directed by the chief secretary about 2 weeks ago to start to get these properties prepared to distribute lands. But we are looking at 4,000 square feet per plot, and that will give us at least 300 parcels of land. But that may not be ready until sometime late on in 2024. But persons could be rest assured that these service lots will be coming on, not only in Colon, but we are looking at places in the rural areas.
Yes.
That we have lands that we could develop because we are trying to stem the migration of the population from the east to the west.
So what are some of those areas that you're thinking about?
We are looking at Roxborough, we're looking at Delaford, we're looking at Masonol, probably further east where the land's for me, but we're trying to make sure that enough houses are built or service lots are provided, space side even, because we have all these estates up there, but infrastructure cost is going to be high. But I mean, once we provide homes to these people, that at least they could stay in the habitat that they grew up in. And that is very, very much important to us.
All right. Now, I know, I mean, you have to go shortly because you have to go to the check distribution ceremony. I know people are anticipating that. But what is something that you want to leave with the public right now in terms of, what the division wants to deliver this year? Well,
like I said, once we get these 3 projects handed out, that will be a weight off our shoulder. That is one. We are changing the policy. Because what I want to do, I'm hearing the cry of a lot of nurses, teachers, so we want to have a special criteria for nurses and teachers. Also, we want to have a criteria for our staff members. Even though it's 1% of the total number of units produced, our employees must be beneficiary of these things. So we could bring joy and some measure of relief because they are the ones doing the hard work behind the scenes to make sure that everything is prepared. So we want to make these changes, but it's going to be incremental. Nothing happens overnight, but once we could deliver on these and delivers on these projects, because these persons who would be awarded these contracts, they will have to deliver because we'll be contracted. And I rest assured. I think that our project team will hold their feet to the fire and make sure that they deliver in time. But we are hoping that almost 600 to 700 units is delivered in 3 years.
6,700 units.
600 to 700, yeah.
Well, Mr. Pallad, that's a tall order. And
Yes.
you know that we here at Tobago Updates, as well as the population, are going to be holding you accountable to that.
Of course.
So, folks, you heard it here, 67 units in 3 years.
Yes.
All right, so we're looking forward to see that happening. It's going to be a mixture, high-rise buildings, individual units.
Yeah, multifamily
Right.
homes.
So, I mean, good things are happening in the housing sector. I mean, we have not seen this in quite a while, and we know the cry of Tobagonians in terms of housing. It is a concern among our population. So we're certainly looking forward to it.
And Candice, we not only just had the conversation with the contractor, the hardware owners, we want to go and meet all the credit unions, the police and the fire credit unions, to target these young professionals. Even there's going to be a criteria for young professionals, so that they would at least be accessible to these things. So we are going to meet out to these places and make sure that we have the number of persons who are pre-qualified and access the homes that we are going to be building.
All right, good things to come. Okay, thank you, Mr. Pallad, for being on with us and sharing us what's been happening in the area of housing. And viewers, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, will be more conversation. So don't go anywhere.